that thumbnail why I'm so happy. That's right, the 4,500 gallon Xingu River Aquarium is finally done. And rather than tell you about it, let me show you. Let's go. Alright, welcome to Aquascaping the 4,500 gallon part 3 and the final part. And I think the only fitting place to start off is with... Yep, you guessed it, more rocks. Lots of more big rocks. Okay. I'm going to take all these big rocks, I'm going to finish off the rockscape, I'm going to finish the root, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to naturalize the foam lines and the aquascape there. And, well, I'm going to do all those things, and then I'm going to show you all those things. Alright, don't look at all the progress on the 4,500 gallon behind me, because first of all, I want to give you some good news before we get into showing you all that progress. So, if you didn't want to see dividers in the 4,500 gallon, well, good news. There's not going to be any. The grow out guys are going to stay in a separate grow out area. I got something worked out there. So we're going full bore on the 4,500 from day one. No dividers. For those of you who've been wondering, where's the saltwater content? Well, the 4,500 gallon, it is right here, right? It's almost time to move the fish over. So once that's done, the 3,000 gallon gets converted into Predator Bay 3,000, and that triggers the avalanche of saltwater content with the 600 reef slope and the basically the entire 1,500 gallon saltwater system getting moved into the new 2,000 gallon lagoon aquarium, which is the old Predator Bay. So going to be a ton of saltwater content there. And then lastly, for those of you who are like, oh my God, after building this 4,500 gallon, he probably won't build another tank for like a year. Well, I'm pretty crazy. I'm going to start building one of the 1,500 gallon tanks in the annex because I want to move everyone from the Amazonian Islands build out into the 1,500 where I can better set up an environment that's going to work for a bunch of big cichlids that like to breed all the time, as well as adding some other fish that I just didn't really think fit the Amazonian Islands build, with that tank being 6 feet wide, 5 feet front to back, and 3 feet tall. But I do have a set of fish that I think would be perfect for the Amazonian Islands tank. And yeah, it's going to be another African cichlid tank. I'll let you guys guess which ones are going in there. But I have some big plans for that. And in the meantime, before I do that too, before I add them in, I'm going to make one correction to the filtration system. Sort of one of the lessons learned with running it, how it's been running for the last year or two. So we're going to make some improvements along the way, and of course take you along the ride for that, and be DIY, of course. Yeah, there's been a ton of work going on back here, so let's take a look right now. So I don't even know where to start. Well, we replaced all the rocks with empty bags of sand. You know what? Let's go ahead and start down here at the waterfall section of the aquarium. So not only did it use up all the rocks again, just like before. I mean, it's just crazy. No matter how many I get, they keep getting used up. But so let's start here at the waterfall. We have the waterfall going all the way up now, right to the surface. So the water is going to come right over the top and cascade onto the rock and down into the aquarium. So that is going to be an awesome effect, and that is going to definitely give us the waterfall-like sort of rapids area over here. There's going to be power heads going in. They're going to keep all that flow moving down. And you can see this is the upper part of the Xingu tributary, which is heavily rocked up. And we have a nice gravel substrate here. And you can see that we are blending in the rock work, from the main section here into the next section. We have some different levels. We have some larger rocks tying it together so that these don't just look like individual exhibits in front of each pane of glass, that there's actually a cohesive aquascape. You can also see that the foam has been painted a more earthy brown color and more natural look, as well as, once the biofilm gets all over everything, it's going to continue to get more and more natural. But so we come down from the first rocky area, super high flow through there. We get a nice pool area here with some larger rocks sort of framing in a nice cool pool area. And then we get to a substantial but smaller, not as tall rock section with more root coming down. We're starting to get into the jungle root here. And so up top you can see that area in the back. Fish are going to absolutely love that. The cover of the roots and on top of those caves. Then of course we have caves running all the way through this entire formation. So this is not blocky. There's a ton of habitat inside of there. There's a ton of habitat inside all 3 levels of the first area as well. And we're continuing with the rocky substrate here as we come out of the midsection of the tank. But now we are transitioning to the lower portion, the middle lower portion of the Xingu tributary. And you can see the rocks are starting to go to sand. So now this section here, there's actually rock underneath all this sand up to about here. So what's going to happen is when I fill this up with water, the sand is going to mix in with that rock. So there's like twice as much sand on top as the rock, but it's going to fill in. So what you should get is an area that looks very mixed with rocks and sand all throughout. And then again, you can see the formation coming out. So instead of just having this thing over here and then this thing over here, you can see along the back, it's all built up with larger rock and filled in with gravel. So we've got some more structure, more cohesive structure. There's also some large rocks under here, so this looks more natural. And now the dock area. So you can see we have all the pilings, they're all rocked in. We have gravel, everything looking nice and natural there. And then we're flowing into the bottom part of the tributary where it is just all sand, nice, deep, thick sand with just the root coming out of the back. This is going to be a haven for the larger fish, the most open area of the aquarium, but with still some cover and sight breaks. And I don't know, it looks like a perfect area for a stingray to be hanging out. But at any rate, if we come inside the aquarium, we can see that there is literally a ton of structure. So a ton of habitat and a ton of structure and a ton of sight breaks. And then of course, last but not least, we went ahead and finished off by painting the plumbing and getting the baskets all set up and ready with the basically clay pebbles. Basically gives something for the plant to stabilize the plant. And then of course, the roots from the plant are going to be hanging down in the water all along this riverbank. So you've got the plant roots hanging down, mixing with the wood root, creating a complete jungle riverbank scape with the canopy. Because you got to remember, the plants are going to grow up. They're going to grow to the light, so they're going to grow up and over. It's going to give a very, very natural riverbank appearance, and that goes all the way down the entire aquarium, all the way up to the front. So we have different sized plants. We have some smaller ones, some larger ones, and medium, of course, and we'll strategically place those to look natural. We'll probably start with some of the smaller ones up here, and then we'll mix a larger one throughout each of the sections, and then some of the medium ones in there. So we should have quite the jungle appearance when it's all said and done. But as you can see, there's been a ton of work. I mean, all that rock. First of all, just how much this tank just eats up the large rocks. There's so many of those huge rocks in there, and yeah, it just, you can't even tell, it just eats it up. And then there's 2,000 pounds of sand in there, and there is 3,500 pounds of this river rock gravel. So just an enormous amount of material that went into this, and my shoulders, my back, my everything is aching, but it's worth it because the scaping is done. Thank God. At any rate, hopefully you're seeing what I'm seeing through the lens here, that it's much more cohesive of a scape now. It makes much more sense than when it was partially done, and hopefully, like I said, it looks as good on video as it does in person, because I'm really seeing this now. Especially, I think, when this area here, the transition, when this sand merges in with that gravel and you have that mixed scape, I think that's going to be pretty awesome. So what is left now? So we are super close to filling up the 4,500 gallon. I think the only thing keeping me going is adrenaline at this point, because the last few days I've moved so much aggregate. I didn't want to think about it. It's going to give me nightmares. I just keep focusing on the prize. So we are super close to adding water to the 4,500 gallon. What do I need to do before we can do that? I need to get in there, and I need to position and lock in all of the power heads. So we're going to have power heads that are shooting along the surface and down towards the bottom because we want to keep everything moving. We're going to have a lot of water current in there. With the amount of power heads we have right now, we'll have 12,000 gallons per hour of internal water flow. Just keeping everything that's in the tank up and moving along down towards the return pumps, and then another 12,000 gallons per hour for the return pumps sending into the wetland filter. So I'm going to get all of those positioned and ready, and then I'm going to start filling up the aquarium because I need to see the sand settle in the rocks. I need to make sure that there's enough sand there. I need to go through, get it cleaned out, basically just sort of make sure it's right. See if I need to add anything else before I start conditioning the tank for the fish. So if everything goes well, it's a fill up that becomes the last fill up. If I feel like it's too dirty from the substrate and everything like that, it may be a fill and clean kind of situation. And then also I want to see how the sand shakes out of the substrate. Now there's a little bit more aggregate that needs to go into the wetland filter, so I'll be filling up the tank and not the wetland filter, and so I won't be turning on the main pumps yet for the wetland filter because there's still more aggregate I need to get in there. Unfortunately, the day I was hoping to do that, it's pouring down rain. There's like a tropical storm or something moving through that, and it's 40 degrees outside too, so not something where I can go out there and shovel and wheelbarrow in another 2,000-3,000 pounds of the top gravel for the wetland filter. So obviously whenever stuff like that happens, I work on the things I can work on. And I've done with most of that, so it's time to go ahead and get those power heads locked in and start filling this beast up. You know what, before we move on with the build, let's go inside the aquarium and take a little bit of a closer look at the aquascape, sort of see what the fish are going to be seeing when they're looking down this 33-foot long Xingu River aquarium. Now, as always, it's deceptive when a tank is deep front to back. This is about 4.5 feet front to back and 4 feet tall. So it's massive, but because it's so long, it makes it sort of appear a little more narrow than it actually is. But at any rate, you can see we're just sort of blending in the two large rocky formations. This is the sort of the lower part of the rocky area, and then back at the beginning we had the waterfalls. You see how we have the root going all the way up, and how the foam has been painted with a couple different colors of brown, which you'll see later on in the video. Once it's filled up with water, it really blends in nicely. But you can see how we have the nice blending of the root and the rock, just creating massive amounts of habitat in that wood root, underneath the dock, throughout all those caves. Just so much space for the fish to go. And man, the dock, I think that's going to be a favorite of many of the fish. But just sort of looking back at the first 3/4 of the tank, but yeah, I can totally see the bass hanging out under there. And then a big open area with just some wood root in the back, and at least a few feet, probably about 2.5 feet open space in the front. But tons of, just tons of habitat, tons of sight breaks, tons of places for fish to carve out their own niche in the aquarium. With a bunch of big fish with big attitudes, it's going to be nice to have something where there's a lot of space for them to separate and be out of the line of sight and just coexist most peacefully as possible. So we added the canister filter to the 600-gallon Asian jungle aquarium to sort of clear up the particulate in the water, and never really came back to check on it. Kind of got busy building a 4,500-gallon. So yeah, here we go. It is, I know looking here through the glass, I can easily see all the way to the back. I just saw a clown loach swimming through the roots, so it's definitely doing the job. Unfortunately, the fish think it's feeding time when you bring out the, stand under the glass, bring out the camera. But this tank has just been on cruise control for a while, and having the polishing filter on there has definitely done the trick. One thing that's really cool is I noticed that a bunch of the new guys have grown out. The mascara barbs, a group of 3 of them, they're gotten a lot bigger. All those new barbs, gosh, what are they? It's like a black ruby barb or something like that, I think, and the Odessa barbs. They're doing awesome, all the new guys. Basically, just everything going great in this tank, and it's just one of those ones where you just sit back and enjoy. Really not a whole lot to have to do it, honestly. One thing I might do is I might go ahead and call
some of the water lettuce back there. It's just overgrown completely. And sort of let some more nutrients back into the aquarium for the aquarium plants. I think it's sufficiently stripped down. I know when I do any sort of tests for, you know, nitrate or anything like that, it's very low. This thing barely ever hits 10. So I mean, I don't really even grow algae on the window, on the glass or anything. Not too. It takes like forever for there to get enough buildup to have to do anything about. So yeah, I think it's probably time to dial that back a little bit. But yeah, just want to give you a quick view of the 600 and one of those ones where thankfully when you're doing a big building project, it's nice to have most of the tanks just cruising along and easy peasy, just enjoying watching the fish swim around. All right, here's one of the biggest moments, but also the most anticlimactic. Yes, we are filling up the 4,500 gallon. We have 2 water supplies going, and it's going to take forever. So I'm letting it go, make sure everything's bolted down, and I'm going to go to work, and when I come back, I expect, who knows, maybe a quarter of the way full. It is a beast. But go ahead, let me show you what has transpired is, hopefully, you can't see it too well because I'm trying to sort of hide them, but throughout the tank, if you look straight ahead, are power heads, and then there's another power head up there, and they're all throughout the tank. They're all positioned. There's one there, there's one up there. Let me move down further. Same deal. We got one up over here, one over there. So what we're doing is we're keeping all the water flowing. So we're going to have a lot of water flowing over that waterfall down the waterfall area there, all the rock, and we want to keep it all going all the way down to those return pumps up in the top corner there. So each section right now has 2 pumps, one that's sort of pushing down and one that's sort of pushing up, you know, like basically along the top and along the bottom in each area. We want to keep all that flow moving. And if needed, I can add in additional water pumps. There's plenty of outlets and everything. I got plenty of pumps. So I want to start with this and see how it looks once it's filled up with water and I can see the currents. I can judge what's going on. But yeah, we're going to keep all the water flowing. We're going to keep all the detritus turned up, you know, big fish, big waste. And yeah, going to keep it all fed into the wetland filter where we can then manage it. So like I said, it's pretty anticlimactic. It's huge. Water's going into 4,500 gallons. This is huge, but it's going to take forever, so I'll be back. If I didn't know better, I'd say the 4,500 gallon has water in it. Oh man, that took a while. I went to work, I came back, and it was only like up to here. So then I let it go, into the night hours, and finally got it up near the top, but it is not quite done. So let's start over at the wetland. So when I turned it off last night, it was right up here. I didn't overflow it into the wetland because I wasn't done with the wetland, but as you can see, we're up to just 12 inches there, so the wetland is done. And if next time I move a rock, if it's a long time from now, I won't mind. Oh my gosh. Great exercise, but whew, so much rock. So yeah, the main tank is filled up, and a couple key points. So it's almost full, and it's just right about where I needed it for the plant baskets. So that's awesome. Over here with the dock, pretty much just where I needed it with that. So that's awesome. And as far as the temperature, keeping the room extra warm here. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Starting out at 68 from the cold tap, that's not bad at all. That won't take long to get up into the 70s. Tank's got to run for a little while anyways, obviously. There's a lot of clearing to do, a lot of clearing up to do, which means we need to have the wetland filter running. But now that it's ready, I have the water going again, and it's just going to overflow back into the wetland. And then once that is ready to go, we will come down here and we will fire up all of the pumps. I got the white pipe painted black, so we're all looking good. Everything's wired up. I just need to flip a switch. Plant baskets are all primed and ready. Everything is looking good. So where do I go from here? All right, so we are super close. I'm gonna let that fill up, let the wetland get completely full. Then I'll be turning on the main pumps. We'll be hitting the sucker cranking. I have some of the water movement pumps in there, but it's not nearly enough. So I ordered more and bigger ones, and so I'll be integrating those into the scape, and we'll get more water flow moving through it. And in the meantime, the thing I can work on right now is the plants. So I'm gonna move over some of the larger plants that are in the filters of my existing tanks right now, and the new plants that I bought, I'll be backfilling into those tanks, the little ones, because the ones in there now, they've grown up, already past the light. I mean, they're just way too big, but they will be perfect for the riverbank on the 4500. So next time we see this tank, we should have the main water pumps running, the wetland filter running, and a whole bunch of plants. Let me get it done, and man, this next section is gonna be awesome. We are right there, we are right there. So it's almost time for bed, but I figure let's check and see how the water's filling up. Oh my gosh. It's full. The entire tank is full. Wetland filter, tank, everything. You know what that means? We could turn on the pumps. We could test the plumbing. Probably not a good thing to do before going to bed, but I want to turn it on. I want to see what happens when we fire up these 12,000 gallons of return pump and send that in the wetland filter. I really want to see what the heck is this overflow waterfall going to look like. What's the current going to look like? How crazy is this going to be? Let's just do it right now. Let's do it essentially live. You're going to see it in this video right as I'm seeing it come on. So yeah, let me go fire it up. Okay, the flip has been switched, or the switch has been flipped. They're running. I hear a little creaking and groaning over here. I don't see any leaks in the plumbing yet. Let's take a look over here. You can hear it. Sounds okay. Or it looks okay. Don't see any water. Let's roll back. Everything looks okay. Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh my gosh. That is some current. Now it is definitely mixed up everything there, but oh man. Look at that current. That is awesome. That is crazy. That's going, so look at that. Those rapids are going 7 feet, 10, about 10 feet. So that is pushing it out about 10 feet. Let's come down here. Yeah, stirred it all up, but oh wow. Really, really cool. That is awesome top water agitation there. Kind of makes the the pump I have right there completely useless. I'll probably move that somewhere else where it can do more good. Obviously, I need to get this all cleared up so that I can see the water currents easily enough. You can see it's just blowing the cloud, but yeah, that is awesome. There's a pretty good push. I mean, you can see the water flowing there. It's pushing it, so that is 7, 14, probably 18 feet. 7, yeah, well no, more than that, because 33, yeah, about 20 feet. So that 12,000 gallons per hour is pushing that water out of the wetland about 20 feet with some decent current. So that is something. Yeah, that is very cool. I was very curious what that would be like. Oh, and that is awesome. Hopefully it comes out on camera. I mean, there's like the rippling coming out of that. That is actually what a real waterfall cascading down would be like. And it just blew this out into the water. Oh, that is awesome. And when it clears up, because we have the rock going all the way up the top, that's going to be cascading down that big that waterfall there. That is going to be awesome. All right, so sorry it's a little anticlimactic with the cloud, but you know, we have all that aggregate, all that substrate, but it will settle. The wetland will do its thing. Oh, so this is super exciting. Oh man. All right, so I was a little underwhelmed with the internal water flow, so I increased those. I ordered bigger versions of what I had, but I have to say I am impressed with the with those CJ pumps for the main return. That is some flow. That definitely exceeds my expectations on that. So I'll get that internal water flow bumped up, get that corrected, and of course start putting the plants in. This thing is really coming together. Man, now it's going to be hard to sleep. I'm all pumped up now. It's time to go to bed. Oh, craziness. I can't wait to come down and check this out in the morning. All right, next time we see this, we'll have it clear. We'll get some plants up there. Okay, exciting progress. It's been 24 hours, and you can see that it is not completely clear, but it is clearing up nicely, as we see. It's crazy how it makes it look so close, but when you get up over top, that rock is further than I can reach my arm. It's almost 4 feet back off the glass, but if we look up here, it's clearing up nicely. This was all, cloudy up here, but the filter's doing its job and slowly getting the whole tank clear. And as you can see, we have the first plant that's up on the riverbank. Let me step back. So yeah, the first plant up there, and you can see I have the other guys down here, and we're rinsing the dirt off of those and off their roots and getting them prepped. And I'm gonna start working on the riverbank right now. We are gonna have this entire riverbank full of plants, and oh yeah, the new water pumps are here. So we're gonna be adding 6 more pumps to the 6 that are in there, and I'll have to calculate what the internal water volume is going to be, but it is going to be a lot more than what we have right now. So we're going to get more surface agitation, and we have other ones, like I don't know if you can see it, like that one there shooting down. So each section will have multiple pumps that are shooting down towards the substrate and multiple pumps at the top, creating agitation at the surface. So I am going to get all those plants in there now. This is getting exciting. This thing is really coming together. Oh, I almost forgot. How are we doing in terms of temperature? Let's see. Boom, 74, almost 74 and a half. So just being in the room at the normal temperature with no heaters is bringing the water temperature up nicely. I think we were, what were we, high 60s or something the other day, and now we're at 74 and a half. Not bad. I mean, I could do fish right now with that, but I'm sure it'll get higher than that. Most of the tanks run more like around 77. So I got lots of plant work to do. But next time we see this, a whole riverbank full of plants. Cannot wait. Can you believe we're finally here? The 4,500 gallon, 33 foot long Xingu Amazon River tributary aquarium is done. For all intents and purposes, it's done. Of course, these projects are never truly done. They're evolutions of an ecosystem, so it's ever evolving and living and thriving, but this thing is done. It is built. We have a functioning aquarium. Now, yes, the water still needs to clear up more, and I need to start seeding the aquarium. Let me take you down here. What you're gonna see is I'm gonna start adding in bags of biomedia. In all my aquariums, I keep extra ceramic media in bags in all the sumps, and I'll start adding here to start seeding this aquarium. And I do have some more water pumps down here that I'm going to add in so we can create more surface flow and laminar flow underneath. But for all intents and purposes, it's complete. We have the tank built. We have the riverbank installed with all the live plants. Now there's a couple to go, but for all intents and purposes, it is built. We have the scape done. We have the tank filled up. We have the main plumbing running. The 12,000 gallons an hour from our 4 big boy return pumps. They're all good. No plumbing problems. So we are now at the point where we turn this into a living ecosystem. So what are the next steps? All right, what's next for the 4,500 gallon aquarium? We are officially transitioning from building an aquarium to now building an ecosystem. You saw a little bit of ceramic bacteria or ceramic filter material coated in bacteria from one of my other aquariums.
inside the 4,500 gallon. And so what's also happening right now is I'm setting up a grow out system for some mini monsters who are going to be finding their way into the 4,500 gallon aquarium as soon as they're big enough to hang with the big boys. And then of course the big boys, we got to move them over from the 3,000 gallon into the 4,500 gallon. So all those things are going to be happening, as well as the 4,500 gallon is going to clear up. The wetland filter's been running for only 2 days, and it's done an amazing job from completely, unable to see through to, being able to see through to some degree. But it is just dust from the sand. There's, literally 10,000 pounds of aggregate in there. Obviously I washed it off. There's only so much you could do. If I got it so clean that there was no, dust to clear up, then I'd still be washing sand and rock right now. But it's not really necessary. The filter will do its job, as well as the bacteria needs to start colonizing all the surfaces in the aquarium, specifically the sand, because that'll basically bring the sand down and keep it from getting kicked up into the air and clouding the water. Once it gets completely coated in bacteria, it totally changes how the sand works in the aquarium in terms of the water column. Like it basically gets pushed up in the water column and then sink quickly back down. And of course, all those plants were unceremoniously uprooted from their sumps where they were existed before. Most of them came from the 3,000 gallon, some came from the Discus Aquarium and the Malawi River Aquarium. So I'm going to be backfilling those with smaller plants. But as you can see, some of the leaves of these plants, they're basically burned because the plants grew all the way up right into the light, So it's nice to give these big plants a bigger home where they can really grow out. Like, as cool as I think the riverbank looks now, just imagine when all those roots are hanging down and all those plants have gotten humongous, growing out over the aquarium, growing together into just a giant jungle riverbank. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome. So the tank is done. This is a long time coming. It's a Christmas miracle, almost Christmas time here. But yeah, it was quite an undertaking. Building this room, building the biggest aquarium I've ever built, it was a monstrous undertaking, but it is built. No less of a monstrous undertaking is getting the ecosystem fully thriving. But the cool thing is that's where we're at. We're going to do that now. We're going to actually get to see this tank turn from a slightly cloudy, brand new tank to a beautiful ecosystem full of large Amazonian cichlids and bass and arowana and catfish. There's so much cool stuff to go with this tank. So many cool fish. It's going to be awesome seeing the big guys moved into this tank, seeing their first moments in their new home, and then of course following along as we grow out some really, really cool new fish for this aquarium. So stay tuned as the next video we're going to bring the fish over, the big boys. That's going to be no small undertaking. As well as we're going to set up the grow out system, and I'm going to show you how we're going to insta-cycle this tank to bring the fish over with that seeded material, biological filtration material, and we're going to insta-seed the grow out as well, the same method. So we'll be able to get those tanks, both the grow out and the 4,500 going right away. As well as soon as we move over the big boys from the 3,000 gallon to the 4,500, we start on building Predator Bay 3000, giving those sharks a bigger home. Man, there's a lot to do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.